Today we're getting into the latest Tesla news, including the end of the launch series Model Y, Tesla's huge lead in charging, Waymo's thoughts on the Cybercab itself, and more, so let's get into it. First up today, we often talk about Tesla's software updates and how great it is to get these updates throughout ownership. But a couple new features have come out this week that really showcase how much a software-based approach can change everything in the car. For the new Model 3 Performance, there's an adaptive suspension, so Tesla has now introduced a default for Autopilot specifically. Quote, your vehicle will now automatically transition to standard ride and handling when Autopilot is engaged for a more comfortable drive. This setting is enabled by default. To disable, tap Controls, Dynamics, use Standard Ride and Handling in Autopilot. The logic here is that customers may prefer a more direct ride when driving but more comfortable when on Autopilot, and it will automatically switch between those two things, which I think is great. This is something I will definitely have on in my Performance Model 3. The next feature though comes to the Cybertruck, and it's for steer-by-wire, and it's very impressive. To me, this is actually an even crazier one. They say, quote, the steering wheel now gives you more realistic feedback, adapting to different road surfaces for a better driving experience. Overall, this is pretty wild, and it's something we'll probably continue to see with more refining coming to this, steering improvements in the future, and maybe even more customizable options down the line for the Cybertruck and whatever future car Tesla introduces steer-by-wire on. At the end of the day, that steering wheel in the Cybertruck is just a controller. It's not actually mechanically linked to the wheels. So instead of it being directly tied to the road, they actually are introducing that feedback into the wheel, somewhat faking it. It's very cool to see where all of this goes, and an equivalent you could think of is something like the trackpad on a modern Mac. When you click, it's not actually a click, it's emulating a click with haptic feedback. And now that's what they're doing with the steering wheel and road conditions. So ultimately, I'm excited to see where Tesla will take this tech into the future and what cars will get this in the future. But for now, it's interesting because this steering wheel technology is coinciding with their future of autonomy, where they're actually looking to get rid of the steering wheel. So in the future, we may not even have steering wheels, but the cars that they do have steering wheels on will probably have steer-by-wire. These new features come alongside others like adjustable ride height in the app for the Cybertruck, other updates to the consumption page, cabin sensing with in-cabin radar, the new battery health test, Bluetooth player updates, more precision in data in trips and odometer, and improved traffic visualizations in some regions. Overall, we're always seeing great improvements to Tesla vehicles, but I think it's particularly cool to point out the ones that we don't see on any car in general, like improvements to steer-by-wire. Next up today, Tesla is in the process of transitioning over to the new Model Y, but this new Model Y transition is almost complete, especially in the United States. Sawyer Merritt has been tracking inventory of the old, now referred to as the legacy Model Y, across the United States, and we can see that it's entirely sold out in 33 states. When you go to the Model Y website, it actually still tells you to browse inventory, but at least for me, when I click that button, it takes me to a page that shows no available cars, and I'm in Southern California, so it looks like California, for the most part, is sold out. So now it's interesting because for a lot of the United States, we're in this kind of limbo where there's only one configuration available of the Model Y to actually get delivered soon, and it's the fully loaded launch series of this car. So if you wanted any other spec or any cheaper version, it's actually unavailable for the time being. As a quick overview, that launch series of the Model Y, which is the only one they're selling right now, is the long-range all-wheel drive trim. But it's a, quote, limited release, reimagined exterior design, refined interior, fully loaded with full self-driving supervised. Included in that, you can get gray, white, red, or quicksilver at no additional cost. You can get the 19 or 20-inch wheels, the tow package is included, and there's only black interior left because white is sold out. Then, of course, it comes with that $8,000 full self-driving supervised package. Adding all these options up, the price actually does make sense if that's something you were already going to upgrade, because $60,000 may seem like a lot, but it's the price of these options regardless. It's a much better deal than something like the Foundation Series Cybertruck, where part of that upgrade charge was simply getting the car early. For this launch series Model Y, I did do a full review, and you can check that out linked up here or in the description below, and overall, it's a really great car. But if you hadn't planned to get these upgrades, maybe you're waiting on the other trims, and soon enough we should see Tesla introduce the long-range rear-wheel drive version of this car, as well as the standard long-range all-wheel drive version. Long-term as well, maybe in a few months we'll see the performance version, but for now we're just waiting on those normal priced trims of this car. And then maybe Tesla will make a normal standard range version of the Model Y later this year, but we'll have to see. There's a lot of rumor in place with what they actually plan to do with cheaper vehicles later this year. In any case, production is well underway at Fremont and Texas, which are the two factories that service the United States for the Model Y. And current cars have the Launch Series badge on the right with the dual motor badge on the left. However, it seems that Tesla is about to announce the normal trims of this car, because drone photos from Giga Texas show dual motor badges only, and they're located on the right. That means that these are the same cars essentially, but without the upgrades and without a few cosmetic changes, and they're the standard trims of the Model Y. So production is now underway for the normal trims that they haven't even announced or allowed people to order yet. Tesla doesn't like to hold inventory too long, so we do know that the announcement of these cars is right around the corner. And if prices remain the same, that means we'll get a rear-wheel drive long-range Model Y at $44,990. All-wheel drive will come in at $47,990, and then if they eventually launch performance and keep the price the same, it would come in at $51,490. On top of that, the Launch Series edition of the Model Y doesn't actually qualify for the referral program, but seemingly other trims would qualify. In that case, it takes off $500, so the base price of $44,990 would probably become $44,490. That is, of course, if they're keeping pricing the same as it was before, but lately, Tesla hasn't really been playing with their overall pricing too much. In the past, they would change this quite a bit, but now they're basically keeping their pricing the same, and then they're offering different discounts and inventory incentives. We've seen plenty of inventory discounts available, as well as things like 0% APR financing, and then they'll play with the referral discount. Right now, it's $500 off, but sometimes it's as much as $2,000 off to use someone's referral link. And that's a way for Tesla to offer a $2,000 discount without actually changing the price of the car on the website itself. Over in Europe, it does appear to be a little bit of a different situation. There seem to be a lot more Model Ys available in inventory, and as such, Tesla is offering up to 2 years of free supercharging with the purchase of an inventory Model Y. It seems that it's 2 years on performance models and then 1 year on all other trims of the Model Y. And then this is coming along with bonuses of 2,000 euros in some countries, and then interest rates available as low as 0.99%. So in the majority of the United States, the old Model Y is entirely sold out, and soon enough, it's going to be completely gone. All signs are pointing to this new version coming very soon in all of its trims as well, and Q1 is wrapping up quite soon, so we'll probably see it very soon. For Q1, Tesla is expected to deliver about 360,000 cars, which will be less than Q1 of 2024, which was at 386,000 cars delivered. But the Model Y changeover definitely has had a huge impact on that, as well as Tesla's declining sales in general, even if it's a small amount. For Q4 of 2024, they delivered 495,000 cars, so we're hoping for that 360,000 mark, and then for them to increase from here into Q2 with the new trims of this updated Model Y. Regardless, it's a very interesting time, and I'll be sure to keep you posted for when those other trims of the Model Y become fully available. It seems it could happen any day or any time now. Before we go any further, I want to mention a great bundle of Tesla accessories you may be interested in, especially if you're a new owner. This bundle from Teslarati includes my favorite 3D Max Spider all-weather floor mats, a screen protector, the front license plate mount from Quick Bandit, a car cleaning kit with 4 different cleaners, center console and armrest organizers, and then door pocket organizers and liners. Basically, this bundle includes all of your must-haves, and they make this for the Model Y, Model 3, and Cybertruck. It's a great place to start with your brand new Tesla, so check it out, and it's linked in the description below. Next up today, it's pretty clear at this point that a very large part of Tesla's business plan going forward involves the robotaxi. Now, they've talked about this for a very long time, but it always fell by the wayside because the development wasn't quite there. However, with the latest versions of full self-driving, Tesla has gained confidence and even went as far as to introduce us to the Cybercab. We know that they hope to introduce that very soon, but they've taken a notably very different approach from companies like Waymo. Over at Waymo, they use LiDAR and HD mapped roads that are geofenced, versus Tesla is only using cameras and AI training to accomplish their goals. So Waymo is already out there with a lot of cars. They actually do over 200,000 paid trips per week in San Francisco, Phoenix, Los Angeles, and Austin, and they hope to expand soon. But Waymo's ex-CEO had a lot to say about the Cybercab, and it wasn't positive. He said, quote, "If a company were serious about building a safe and accessible robotaxi business, it would look nothing like what was shown. The cost of a robust sensor set, including LiDAR, is trivial on a per-mile basis, even more so for mapping, and the safety benefits measured in human harm reduction are real and verifiable." Especially back when Tesla started developing this system, it made sense that LiDAR was far too expensive for them to include as a sensor, and it wasn't scalable. However, the cost has come down over time, but Elon and Tesla have been firm that cameras are all that they will need. In any case, as for the service that Tesla is providing, Waymo's ex-CEO also said Tesla has aspired to compete with Waymo for nearly 10 years, but they still don't. They're a car company with a driver assist system. They haven't delivered a single fully autonomous revenue-generating ride yet, something Waymo is already doing 1 million times a month. Now there's nothing really to argue about. Tesla has been working on this for a long time and they still have yet to actually deliver this functionality, but the hope is it will be coming soon. The interesting thing will be to see how Tesla staggers that rollout. I think the biggest thing about Tesla's approach, though, is that if they do succeed, it's something they can scale incredibly quickly. With millions of cars already out on the road and their production already ramped, they can really ramp up where robotaxis are available, versus Waymo is stuck pretty much where they are, and they can only expand so quickly. Of course, Tesla is comparatively late to the game, but if this plays out long term, they'll probably overshadow them. I think that's what Tesla is banking on. So one of the great parts about full self-driving is how quickly they can scale it and introduce it to a new market, and they just did this over in China, but now it's seeing a new setback. Tesla has temporarily paused FSD free trials over in China due to regulatory approval processes. Tesla China announced a free FSD trial from March 17th to April 16th for eligible customers, but on March 24th, they paused the FSD free trial, stating that all parties are actively advancing the relevant process and asking customers to wait patiently. In February, China's industry ministry issued new rules requiring regulatory approval for autonomous driving over-the-air updates, and it seems that this has affected Tesla's FSD releases. So Tesla is facing new challenges with even stricter Chinese laws, and they've also faced challenges in the past because China wants the training video to stay within the country. The way that Tesla has worked on this so far is by partnering with Baidu. But Tesla's approval in the US for the Cybercab is as follows. We know that they've gotten some approvals in Texas, but in California specifically, quote, according to Tesla's application, Tesla will initially utilize the TCP permit to transport Tesla employees on a prearranged basis and in Tesla-owned vehicles. Tesla's application does not seek participation in CPUC's autonomous vehicle passenger programs in either a drivered or driverless capacity, and a TCP permit alone does not authorize them to provide rides in AVs. So while we have seen that first approval for robotaxi rides in California, it's not actually for autonomous rides yet. That approval is yet to come. Sawyer Merritt said, quote, initially, Tesla employees will be in the driver's seat and offer rides to other employees first, and then to the general public after that. But as Tesla secures the remaining necessary approvals, the vehicles will eventually operate without a human driver, just like Waymo. Those are the updates for California, but over in Texas, Tesla just posted about the Cybercab and their robotaxi network, saying, quote, the future is autonomous and it starts in Austin this June. Thanks to Austin City and Texas DOT for hosting and supporting our efforts to unlock safe and low-cost premium point-to-point electric transport. Along with this post, they posted some photos of the Cybercab, so they seem to be hyping up the idea that you'll be able to take a fully driverless robotaxi ride in the Cybercab in June in Austin, Texas. But we'll see if that actually comes true. Maybe it will end up being something like a ride in a Model Y with an employee there as a backup, or they'll go all the way. We'll have to see how it turns out. Regardless, it's exciting to see, and it's exciting to see Tesla doubling down on this along with employees. Next up today, when it comes to electric vehicles, the most important aspect for people buying and people being comfortable keeping these cars is charging. A third-party charging network or a built-in charging network with an automaker is incredibly important, and Tesla does this better than anyone. But a new study from Consumer Reports is confirming this and showing just how effective a good charging network is. Consumer Reports actually found that Tesla's and Rivian's charging networks experience significantly fewer issues compared to those operated by non-automaker entities. They took info from 5,700 different charging stations from 1,230 EV and plug-in hybrid owners, and the results were pretty surprising, but at the same time, not too surprising. If you look out there in the real world and experience what it's like to own EVs, it's pretty obvious that Tesla has a huge advantage here, and it's great to see that Rivian is doing the same. For Tesla, they had charger problems 4% of the time. For Rivian, they had charger problems 5% of the time. Already, I'd say that that's actually something they should improve. I want to see 4% get down to 1% or less for Tesla, and same for Rivian. But over at Shell, they saw issues 48% of the time. EVgo saw issues 43% of the time, and Blink saw issues 41% of the time. Those are pretty ridiculous numbers that mean almost half the time that people went to go charge their vehicle, there was a problem and they had to fix it or go to a different station. It's absolutely ridiculous, and it just harms EV development and adoption. Of these issues, 36% of them were hardware related, and of those, 76% were broken screens and 10% were damaged cables. 25% of the overall issues were other issues, 23% were payment issues, and 15% were charging power issues. So payment issues used to be a bigger issue here, but others have taken the cake now. Consumer Reports actually said in response to this that, quote, to help make public charging go more smoothly, Consumer Reports recommends having multiple accounts with saved payment information so that if there's a problem with the charger's interface, payment can be completed on a network's app. Basically, they're recommending that every customer that uses third-party charging has a backup in place ready to go because it probably won't work. Of course, the contrast to this is charging stations from Tesla and Rivian. They are far more reliable and much more user-friendly. So basically, non-automaker charging networks face a lot of challenges with all of these things, but automaker networks do a good job. And I think that really comes down to the difference here. If Tesla's chargers don't work, they don't sell cars. If Rivian's chargers don't work, probably the same thing, although those cars can now charge at Tesla Superchargers as well. But for third parties like EVgo or Electrify America, it doesn't really matter to them, and oftentimes they're reliant on funding. It's an unfortunate circumstance that we're in with third-party charging networks, but it shows why Tesla's Supercharger network has really dominated and will continue to in the future. Rivian is doing really great, but they still have a long ways to go with scaling, and I hope that they can keep their reliability up. For Tesla, they have about 30,000 stalls in the US for superchargers, whereas Rivian has about 600. So Tesla is currently operating around 50 times more stalls, and that probably will increase in the future, even as Rivian continues growing. Overall, I think this shows how important it will be for automakers to invest in their own charging in the future, or if not, just to partner with and support Tesla with their supercharging endeavors. We were a little worried about Tesla slowing down their supercharger network in the past, but things seem to be going great. They seem to be growing, reliability is still great, and other automakers are joining each day. We actually just saw Hyundai get official supercharger access, and hopefully we'll get Kia fairly soon as well. Later this year in June, we're expecting Honda, and then sometime in 2025, BMW should get access as well. There's a whole list of automakers getting access in 2025, and it's a big move that makes EVs much more reliable. Last up today, some updates from other automakers. Over at Rivian, they have spun off their micro-mobility division to be called Also Inc. In the past, we've heard that Rivian would be investing into electric scooters and other electric vehicles like that are much smaller, but now Also Inc. has secured $105 million in Series B funding from Eclipse Ventures. Rivian will maintain a significant minority ownership in Also Inc., and Rivian's CEO RJ Scaringe will be serving as the chairman of Also's board of directors. He said, quote, for the world to fully transition to electrified transportation, a range of vehicle types and form factors will be needed. I am extremely excited about the innovations developed by the Also team that will underpin a range of highly compelling micromobility products that will help define new categories. Essentially, they will be focused on lightweight electric vehicles, including e-bikes and scooters, aiming to address global transportation challenges. They plan to introduce their flagship product in the US and Europe by 2026, with subsequent tailored electric vehicles for Asia and South America. This is a very interesting move to see, but it makes a lot of sense. We know that Rivian has been looking into making these products in the past, but maybe it didn't quite make sense as their overall mission as more of an electric vehicle company. Here they can split that off into a different company that is exclusively focused on those types of smaller vehicles, and they can stay focused on their electric cars. Regardless, I am excited to see what kind of electric products come from Also, and if they end up having some sort of Rivian tie-in and feel like Rivian, or really just something completely different. Next up, over at Lexus, they've announced the new version of the RZ EV. This is really a Model Y competitor and starts about $44,000, and they've recently improved it quite a bit. The first improvement is a very interesting one, and that is steer-by-wire is included on the RZ EV with a yoke. This brings a lot of improvements over the previous version, and it's definitely a system I'm very curious to try out. This new version also has up to 300 miles of range, which is a 20% increase there, and it introduces shorter charging times. This appears to be getting specs that make a lot more sense for vehicles in this price range, so I'm excited to try out this new Lexus RZ. But at the end of the day, it still feels like this is geared towards a lot of loyal Toyota or Lexus customers who want to stick with the brand but want to go electric. In the future, they're probably going to need to do something a little bit more to really differentiate their products. That's all the latest Tesla news for today, so in the meantime, if you want to see a full breakdown on Tesla's future business model for the Cybercab and Robotaxi, you can check out that video linked up here or in the description below. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.